The Puma One is the actual name of this shoe. Not a joke. It's actually called the One. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of possibly the weirdest boots to come out in 2018, but also one that is surprisingly good. And of course, I'm talking about the brand new Puma One in the synthetic upper variation in the 2018 World Cup Illuminate Pack colorway. Now, as you can see by the design of this shoe, they're kind of weird looking. There's a lot of strange elements, and it really doesn't relate to any of the past Puma One generations either. This is technically the third generation, but it's called the Puma One. I can't explain that either. Anyways, there's a lot going on. It is essentially a complete redesign. It does not relate to the Puma One 17.1 or 18.1, both of which I didn't think were all that great. The 18.1 was better, but it wasn't necessarily good enough to justify purchasing that over other options that you had at the same price point. These change that, and we're gonna go over what essentially is so different and what's so good about them in today's video, including how they fit and feel on feet, essentially coming to the conclusion as to whether or not these are the ones. They are the ones. They're the Puma One ones. I already said that. Anyways, if you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price, which I know $200 is not cheap, but in a world where everything seems to be $220 plus, $200 for a top-end model as good as these, actually doesn't seem like that bad of a deal. If you guys do end up enjoying the video, don't forget to support it with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. Included with the boots, specifically in this Illuminate Pack colorway, you're gonna find that the box features the same colors and graphics as what you'll find on the boots themselves. And inside the box, you get some silica gel, which you should not eat. Before we get into specific tech specs, I want to be clear that the new Puma One is available in two different upper variations, the synthetic version that I have right here, as well as a kangaroo leather upper variation that I'll be getting in for review very, very soon. So just like the past generation Puma One 18.1, this will be available in leather as well as synthetic. But Joe, you never even reviewed the synthetic upper variation of the Puma One 18.1 that this boot replaces. Well, for those that are wondering what those are like, here is the synthetic Puma One 18.1. I never reviewed it, mainly because it's just not that interesting. The synthetic upper is okay, the midfoot is really stiff, the sole plate is really stiff. It's an okay top-end boot, but honestly, I wouldn't recommend buying it over other options you have at the $200 price point. So it's just not that great. Which brings us to the synthetic Puma One. Dumb name, better shoe. So starting off with the upper, you're gonna find that it's made up of three main elements: synthetic at the toe, fuse fit through the midfoot, and then across the top of the foot where the lacing system is, as well as extending to the collar area at the heel, you're gonna find their EVOKNIT material, which is kind of a carryover from the Puma Future, even though we technically had it on the previous generation Puma Ones as well. This is a lot different though. So the synthetic at the toe, as you can see, features this pretty wild looking texture made up of all these different circles. The pattern seemingly being quite random. I'm sure they've mapped it out where this is optimal for grip on the ball and overall touch, but honestly, for the most part, it just feels very thin. The material is super soft, super flexible, and Puma's a weird brand when it comes to thin synthetics, because they put out some that are really good like this, and then they'll replace it with the next generation model, and the synthetic just ends up being way worse. I'm not sure who makes those calls. This one though feels very, very good. It does have a bit of a padded liner on the inside as well, but for the most part, I would definitely describe the overall feel of this shoe, not just in the toe, but across the entire foot, as definitely a true barefoot sensation. It feels really, really good. Definitely thinner than the Puma Future, if you were wondering. If I had to compare this synthetic material to anything else out there right now, I would actually compare it to the Speed Mesh upper on the new X18.1, just a little bit thinner. It feels that soft, it feels that flexible, it really is very premium. Which brings us to the midfoot area, which features their Fuse Fit technology. That sounds very fancy, but honestly is quite simple. They don't really specify exactly what that is, but based on what I can tell, You have elasticated EVOKNIT material across the top of the foot. That extends through the midfoot area, and then they put a bunch of fused material on the outside and the inside to reinforce it. It maintains a very thin feel, not quite as thin as what you'll find in the forefoot, but very, very close. But at the same time, giving you that structure that you need for proper lockdown and responsiveness. It's not overly stiff or uncomfortable, which historically has always been my main complaint with the Puma One line. It is not an issue here. And something I was also kind of concerned about, just based on how these look, is that it looks like you have a bunch of different materials that are kind of all sewn together. It looks like it's a bunch of different pieces to make up one upper versus being one uniform material across the entire foot. But to my surprise, this feels like one single piece of material. You don't feel the seams, even though there's a very noticeable seam here where the midfoot area attaches to the synthetic at the front. You can see it going all the way around. But they've done an excellent job at making this shoe feel seemingly seamless, which I know sounds kind of stupid, but it really is good. It's a huge improvement over previous Puma Ones, and you get a nice consistent thin touch across the entire foot, which is ultimately what I was looking for from this particular shoe. Which brings us to the most unique part of the upper, which spans across the top of the foot where the laces are positioned as well as the collar area. It's made out of their Puma EVOKNIT material that's very thin, elasticated. It does have that sock-like sensation to it, but it's not overly stretchy, and that's because they actually did incorporate some kind of a plastic within the yarn itself. So it does have some restriction to the stretch, which doesn't feel bad at all. It actually gives the shoe a very structured sensation while still maintaining a thin, close to the foot feel, which again works very well with the design of this shoe. It does have a one-piece enclosure as well. You can see a fuse line running directly up the middle, so not a ton of stretch through the midfoot area, as you guys will see when the shoes are on my feet later in the video, but still very comfortable, and the fact that you don't have overlapping materials here is definitely a good thing. The unique part though is the fact that they incorporated lace loops made out of the EVOKNIT material, all incorporated into this central enclosure, which is really, really unusual. So you can see here on the medial side, the bottom two lacing positions, it just uses a dual lace hole setup as you would typically find whenever you have a one-piece upper, but all the other lacing positions are actually little loops made out of EVOKNIT material that go up the lateral and medial side of the shoe. And if you look inside, they've actually covered it up completely. So it's strictly on the outside. You don't have any kind of openings or anything like that. So the inside is completely sealed. Then they've kind of taken some elements from the Puma Future with its net fit system. Obviously this doesn't have net fit, but they added some extra lace loops at the top lacing positions to make the lacing system somewhat adjustable, mainly for the sake of heel lockdown. If you want to add a little bit more lockdown at the heel and lace them further back, they give you those lace loops on either side as an option. Personally, having tried them out, I really don't feel the need to use these whatsoever. So it's not something that is going to be super useful for everybody. And given that they fit you properly in the first place, the shape of the shoe, I think being really top notch, especially for a Puma One model, most people aren't really gonna find the need to use these extra lace loops. But the fact that they give you them as an extra option is definitely cool. The only downside is that it does add some extra bulk here. I wouldn't say it's super noticeable when you're actually playing. Some people might not like the way that it looks because it does look a little bit strange, but it's definitely a very cool idea from the Puma brand. Just not one that I think is going to be particularly useful for most people, but if you buy them, it's something you can play around with just to see if you like it more or less versus using just the regular lacing setup as I have them right now. You're gonna find that it does have what some people would consider to be a mid-cut collar. Honestly, these feel like standard low-cut shoes. The overall construction and feel reminds me a lot of the Puma Future at the rear of the shoe, which is not a bad thing at all. They give you a lace loop at the front, which is really nice, a lace loop at the back, which again, just makes these much easier to put on and take off given the extended collar. And then internally, you'll find that it does have a nice synthetic suede, again, almost identical to what you'll find on the Puma Futures. The insole is fully removable, features a synthetic suede liner on top, and it's made out of a single layer of black foam. Nothing fancy at all, pretty standard for most top-end boots, and it definitely gets the job done. Which brings us to the sole plate and stud pattern, now called the Rapid Sprint sole plate. Trust me when I say it's a huge improvement over what we had with the first two Puma One generations, and it now includes an external heel counter, which I'm personally very happy about. The sole plate itself has much better flexibility to it. It feels very natural. It reminds me a lot of what we have on the Puma Future. It's kind of loosely based off of that exact same design. It's got good rigidity through the midfoot area, and it just feels very, very good. Not to mention it shaves a ton of weight off of the previous Puma One generations. Also, the stud pattern is now FGAG, just like the Puma Future, something we've never technically seen officially from the Puma One line. And of course, the stud pattern layout is pretty much the same as the Puma Future, if we're being honest. It feels very, very similar. You're gonna have conical studs at the front of the forefoot with bladed studs at the base, the conical stud at the base, and then these are bladed as opposed to conical like you'll find on the Future. So you could argue that this stud pattern is slightly more aggressive. The difference again is minimal. And then at the heel, again, you're gonna find the bladed studs here at the base of the midfoot, and then conical studs at the very back of the heel. It's FGAG, but I definitely would say that this is more of a true FG stud pattern, best suited for use on firm natural grass, but you definitely can get away with using it on artificial grass, especially considering that they got the thickness of the sole plate right, so stud pressure is not an issue, and that would be concerning based on the length of the studs, but it doesn't seem to be a problem based on what I've experienced. So again, in comparison to previous Puma One models, this sole plate and stud pattern is so much better, it's not even close. Which brings us to the weight, which was honestly the most surprising aspect of this boot when I picked them up for the first time. They are remarkably light. In a size 9.5 US, the Puma One in the synthetic upper variation weighs in at 7 ounces exactly, which when compared to the synthetic Puma One 18.1 is 0.7 to 0.8 ounces less, almost a full ounce, which is very noticeable. 8 ounces is light, 7 ounces is a lot lighter, and this is very comparable in weight to pretty much all the major speed boots out there, actually lighter than some of them. So again, if you're looking for that super light, super thin feel from your boots, you're going to get that from the Puma One. Is it kind of unusual as far as the package that it comes in? Because based on how these look, I don't think many people would guess that they're as light as they are, but they feel very light on feet, they're very comfortable, and honestly, it's a really appealing package as kind of an unusual speed boot, if you want to call it that. So as you can see, I swapped out the stock green laces for some junior length black reflective SR4U replacement laces. The laces that come on the shoes are really long, as you guys will see in just a second. So the junior length ones ends up working perfect for this particular shoe, at least for me in a size 9.5 US. Plus you get the reflective bits and a little bit of contrast with the black that accents nicely with the pinstripe you have on the Puma form stripe, which is also black in color. If you guys are interested in a pair of SR4U laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, I'm honestly shocked at how well the synthetic Puma One fits. It kind of looks like it has an unusual shape, but when you put them on your feet and tie the laces tight, it wraps your foot so closely. It's one of the best fitting synthetic shoes on the market right now from any brand at all, which is honestly something that I've really never been able to say about a synthetic boot from the Puma brand. These fit even better in my opinion, at least if you're looking for a more snug fit, than the Puma Futures, and I think that's an excellent fitting shoe with its adjustable lacing system. Again, you have that adjustability with this lacing system with these extra lace loops they give you. I personally don't feel the need to use those at all. My heel is perfectly locked in, and honestly, the responsiveness and overall locked-in sensation you get from this shoe is very good despite the upper being so thin. Again, the upper feels a lot like the speed mesh on the Adidas X18.1, which I really like, but with no extra dead space. You can see the material doesn't really crinkle up. It just wraps your foot very closely, but at the same time doesn't feel stiff, doesn't feel rigid, doesn't have any plasticky sensation to it. They're very comfortable and very natural on your feet. Dare I say they have kind of a sock-like sensation, which is weird because I wasn't expecting them to feel this way at all. The sole plate has good flexibility to it. The heel comfort is awesome. The collar, you don't really notice at all. And again, they're just really, really nice boots. I'm pleasantly surprised by how comfortable and how well they fit. As far as width is concerned, I would say that these are going to be wide enough for most people. They're not going to stretch too much, but as long as you don't have super wide feet, I think these will fit most people quite comfortably. And as far as sizing is concerned, I went true to size, wearing my usual size 9.5 US. My feet are about a 9.25, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I have to say that I've been pleasantly surprised by the new Puma One in the synthetic upper variation. I was excited to try the leather ones, wasn't expecting too much out of the synthetic ones at all, especially based on how they look, but honestly, it's kind of what I would describe as a speed boot in disguise because it really doesn't look like it would be all that light. It kind of looks like it would be clunky and bulky and stiff on your feet, but it is exactly the opposite. It's a huge improvement over all previous Puma Ones, to the point where I honestly wouldn't even compare it to the 117.1 or 118.1. It's just its own unique thing that happens to have the same name, the Puma One. But honestly, I think if you're looking for an alternative speed boot that certainly is not going to be the most popular, this is definitely one of those shoes that you want to consider. It's comfortable, it offers awesome traction, it's FG-AG, it offers a really nice touch on the ball, and again, it's going to be unique. You won't see too many people wearing these things, plus it's well priced at $200. It's going to be one of the cheapest top-end speed boots that's legitimately good that you can buy right now, and considering it's not going to be that popular, you'll be able to get it on sale relatively quickly as well. So can I recommend the synthetic Puma One? Absolutely, go and buy one. A Puma One. Go buy a Puma One. Can't wait for the 111. That's the next one. Anyways, guys, that is it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.